1 and 2 on the ladder in the regular season, just 1 point between them, and today there's just 1 goal separating Sydney and Melbourne, with the grand final beckoning. Sydney, the team with the best home record, against Melbourne, who hold the best away record. The Sydney Football Stadium packed, parochial and partisan. This is what club football in Australia has become, and this is what club football is all about. Let's have a look at the two-team lineups. Sydney FC make 2 changes from the first leg. Shannon Cole has not recovered from an injury sustained during the week with Australia, so he misses out, and Brendan Gann is left out in favour of the fit-again Mark Bridge. Bridge will play in the attacking midfield role, with Carol Kissel reverting to his wider position. Seb Ryle comes in at right back for his first appearance of 2010 against the club with whom he made 30 appearances. Melbourne Victory make 1 change from the side that started in Beijing. Nick Murtagh is of course suspended, so Robbie Cruz makes perhaps a surprise return from injury. Archie Thompson is on the bench, and it'll be interesting to see if the Thai international Surat Suka lasts the full 90 minutes. He came off after just 26 minutes of Thailand's loss against Iran in Tehran with a corked thigh. Carol Kissel to take the first corner. He, of course, scored against Melbourne on Valentine's Day. It's a free header, it's off the woodwork, and away to safety by Adrian Leia. Was it Alex Brosk who had the header, or was it Colosimo?
No, it was Alex Brosk, and it was Tommy Pondylyak on the line.
Sydney's so close to the opening goal in the opening moments.
Here's the corner from Carol Kissel. Excellent work. Mitch Langerak onto the head of Tommy Pondylyak, who needed the crossbar as well.
Neatly brought down by Brosk. Lyle's been pickpocketed though by Nicky Wards. Melbourne coming back into the game, and that's a good effort. Oh, it's a stunning goal from Robbie Cruz. What an incredible strike. And Robbie Cruz, who left the field on a stretcher on Valentine's Day, makes his mark in the second leg of the major semi-final. What a goal! 3-1 on aggregate to Melbourne Victory.
Well, sit back, relax and enjoy the show. This is beautiful, 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 beautiful from Robbie Cruz. Sydney back off, give him way too much time. But Clint Bolton at complete full stretch, and we know his athleticism, still not good enough. Robbie Cruz off the doctor's surgery, or out of the doctor's surgery, and into the box seat for Melbourne Victory. What a delightful piece of football. And perhaps that is the cherry on top of the cake for Robbie Cruz's renaissance since moving to Melbourne Victory.
Wards looking to lift it over the top, where Cruz has found space very effectively once again. In for Hernandez. He didn't really catch it right, but still forced Clint Bolton into making the save.
You're right.
And Flynn with the decoy run. Infield instead for Bridge. Lovely 1-2. Bridge in behind. Mark Bridge! Oh, it's into the side netting, and it's a goal kick too. That should have been a corner according to Sydney, but really, Andy Harper, that should have been a goal.
He has to score from there.
Brosk peels away. Beautiful control. Down he goes, and Strebro-Dolowski points to the penalty spot. Well, that's a big talking point. Adrian Leia thinks the decision is a joke, but Strebro-Dolowski was adamant. Penalty for Sydney FC.
We'll focus on what we know, and that is it was a very tasty ball from Stephen Keller, I think I recall, to the back post. Adrian Leia beaten in flight, and Brosk's first touch is what caused the problem thereafter. Leia beaten. Adequate touch from Brosk, and there's an elbow in the back, and you can't complain.
Carol Kissel scores, and scoring against Melbourne is becoming habit-forming for the Slovakian. 1-1.
And that is a very good penalty. There's a good crowd here at the Sydney Football Stadium, and they were pretty silent. in waiting to see what Carl Cassell was going to do, and the pressure built by the moment. Langerak guesses the right way, but they're unsavable. The inside of the net, of the side netting, Carl Cassell gets his team back square, and I think it's safe to say at this point, Simon, it's game on.
Square on the day, not yet on aggregate. Still Melbourne leading by 3 goals to 2. Well, there we go, the end to a pulsating first 45 minutes. Melbourne drawing first blood thanks to a real peach of a goal courtesy of Robbie Cruz, but then the big talking point, or it certainly will be in Melbourne, as Alex Brosk was nudged over by Adrian Leyer. Carol Kissel dispatched the penalty, and it's all set up for a fascinating second period at the Sydney Football Stadium. So Melbourne still with their noses in front on aggregates, but on the day it's Sydney FC 1, Melbourne Victory 1. So it's Melbourne who get us away again in the predominantly all-white kit. No changes made by either coach at the interval. What will have been the message from Messrs Levitska and Merrick, do you think, Hubs?
Simon, I don't think they will have, either coach will be looking to deviate from their plan and be very happy with the output of both teams. Melbourne, by and large, absorbed a lot of pressure. When they managed to counter-attack with an open field, they look as dangerous as ever. And Sydney have managed, for their part, to nullify a lot of those opportunities by winning the second ball and pressurising Melbourne in their own part of the field. So, no surprise in my mind that the score's level, because both teams have been excellent.
That was a super dummy by Bridge, bringing Seb Ryle into play, and Muscat has to go across and cover. Concedes the first corner of the second period.
Ryle's touch off again, and we saw with the Robbie Cruz goal, he coughed up possession. We've seen once or twice Seb Ryle, his first touch a little bit heavy. He made great ground down the right-hand side, but couldn't control the ball well enough to set up a crossing situation. Nevertheless, they've won a corner, Sydney FC.
Out of action since the 27th of December, Seb Ryle, so maybe a bit rusty. Kissel's delivery comes out for Stefan Keller. Really get hold of it. Squirts out for Bjorn. Oh, that really had some venom behind it, and it's a good tip away by Mitch Langerak. Keller allowed to advance 20-30 metres. Get the ball in towards Aloisi. Showed too much of it to Kevin Muscat. McFlynn. Now Bjorn continues the run. Space. Chance to measure the cross. It's a good one, and Kissel sliding into the far post. Great work by Surat. Back for Bridge. Takes a touch. Bridge goes for goal. Mark Bridge scores for Sydney. 2-1 on the day, and it's all tied up on aggregates. Super goal by the Sky Blues, and the Cove erupts.
Well, it's a super goal ultimately, but it's a super move before then. Terry McFlynn linking with Bjorn, who's been excellent today, the Korean import. He fired a beautiful cross to the back stick. Look at this work down the left-hand side. Carlos Hernandez has given up the ghost. Melbourne Victory will focus on the lack of work from Hernandez in tracking Bjorn. Carl Cassell brings out some great work from Suratsuka. Mark Bridge with a deft touch into his left foot, which has been dormant for the first half of the football match, has sprung to life, as has this football game. All square on aggregate. Spectacular goals about which to enthuse. Sydney back level. And here we go.
Oh, McFlynn got the back heel all wrong, and Melbourne could be in here. Here's Archie Thompson. Oh, what a save from Bolton. That is top draw from the Sydney custodian.
And it's heading for extra time.
Yeah, that's the good news for football aficionados. If you've enjoyed the game, there's still another half an hour and perhaps penalties to come. Mark Bridge getting Sydney's second after Robbie Cruz had given Melbourne the early lead, and then Carol Kissel from the penalty spot squaring things up. 2-1 to Sydney FC on the night, 3-3 on aggregate. The 2-1 scoreline for Sydney was the only way we were heading into extra time, and that is exactly what has occurred. Sydney FC 2, Melbourne Victory 1, the final scoreline, all tied up at 3 apiece over the two legs. South Melbourne against Sydney United in the NSL. As the last meeting of the two most populous states in the big showdown. Fox now, he's lost out and Hulo's in! Oh, and Bolton has saved Sydney again! Incredible save, Hernandez! Bolton, a double block! He is the hero for Sydney FC tonight, and no mistake! Brilliant goalkeeping! Partly away by McFlynn. Back with Pondylyak. Again, McFlynn in the way, and Strebdolowski rules that that's intentional handball.
Terry McFlynn's claiming that it was contact with his face. Bjorn's out on his feet. They're going to start dropping like flies from here, you'd reckon. Tommy Pondylyak, who's found a burst of energy.
Well, it hit the nose first, I think, Harps, and then perhaps the arm. Now free kick's taken quickly, and Archie Thompson has buried it. And is that the goal that sends Melbourne victory into the grand final at Sydney's expense? Sydney caught napping, and Archie Thompson, the arch predator against the arch rivals, with the crucial goal.
Well, you get the feeling that Melbourne reckon that'll be enough, and it's hard to argue against them. Sydney have to get 2 goals from somewhere, and there's not enough time, surely. Question marks whether or not there's enough energy. And they've been pinged for offside more times than they agree with Melbourne victory. But they've beaten the trap, and it's going to count big time. Sydney lined up for the free kick. Kevin Muscat noticing that the entire Sydney defensive unit is looking over their right shoulder. And Clint Bolton beaten for once at the near post. Nothing he could do about it. Look at Muscat sees the run, sees the defenders looking over their wrong shoulder. And it's a grand final hosting right for Melbourne, you'd fancy.
There they are. The Dark Blues with bragging rights over Sydney once more. Who knows if they'll meet again on March the 20th. Dying embers of what has been a fascinating evening's entertainment, which Strebdolowski brings to a close. And the winner is Melbourne over the 2 legs. Marvellous Melbourne stroll into another home grand final, their 3rd in 4 years. The champions don't give up their crown without an almighty fight, and instead it's Sydney, the premiers this season, who must do it the hard way by trying to defeat Wellington next weekend. The craftiness of Kevin Muscat and Archie Thompson in the end doing for the team that finished on top of the ladder during the regular season. A full-time scoreline today of Sydney FC 2, Melbourne victory 2 after extra time. Melbourne go through on aggregate over the 2 legs.